Hey YouTube, welcome back to Hawk's Holocrons. My name is Scotty Hawk. This is a part 2 video of the first that's going to help me explain why I think Snoke was at the Jedi Temple the day that it burned. Today we're going to focus on the Knights of Ren. We're also going to focus on the Acolytes of the Beyond. And we're also going to talk at the end of the video about lightsabers, kyber crystals, Kylo's design, all that stuff. So, if you haven't seen the first video, check it out. You don't have to watch it before you watch this one. They both help to back up a theory I have on why I think Snoke could have been at the Jedi Temple. Real quick, I want to get this out of the way because my inspiration for this channel came from a bunch of different people on YouTube. I want to shout out the Rebel Scum podcast. I've been watching a lot of their videos recently. I also want to shout out Urban Acolyte TV. That guy is doing some wild stuff over there. Also very knowledgeable as far as canon, and I like to focus on canon and facts. I don't take rumors very seriously a lot of times. I'm just using books that I've read and knowledge that's out there that's confirmed by people who know what they're talking about. Alright, I want to start out by talking about the Knights of Ren. In Rey's flashback, you notice that they have the scene where Kylo Ren is stabbing the guy in the back, and then he drops, it's raining, lightning goes off in the background, and you see the temple way off in the distance. If you pause it during that scene, and I know a lot of you have seen this movie a billion times, so think about the scene and all of the bodies or piles of things around them on the ground. To me, in that image alone, it seems like there is just hundreds of people potentially that just got slaughtered by Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren. And I'm doing a lot of assuming in that. We don't know if they were all bodies, but you can just assume all they showed us was him killing a person, falling, and then you look around and there's just devastation everywhere. People are really doubtful of the Knights of Ren as well. Every rumor we've heard is that they're going to get handily destroyed by Luke Skywalker or some other something. So I'm like, why is it possible for Kylo Ren, who, hasn't even really been trained. He obviously didn't become a Jedi Master, and Snoke's saying that he needs to go finish his training. So I'm thinking, again, it's going to back up me thinking that Snoke was at the temple when it burned, because how else was Kylo Ren and these Knights of Ren, who may not even be Force sensitive, able to take out everybody in this entire temple and cause Luke to run? Obviously, Luke probably ran because it was Kylo and he didn't want to kill him, and he needed to, really take a step back and figure out what the hell's going on with this entire situation. But yeah, so Knights of Ren, I'm hoping they're going to be a sleeper in this movie. We don't know a lot about them. Everybody's kind of focused on these Praetorian guards now because pictures and stuff are coming out. But me just being a fan of the dark side, and I want, just to boost up in that a little bit, you know what I mean? It's, obviously Luke is super powerful. We already know that he can, do some shit. But it would be really cool to see the Knights of Ren become something more. As I mentioned in my other video, there had to have been lightsabers all over this entire temple. I would like to assume that people were building lightsabers and it was functioning like a normal temple. So if the Knights of Ren don't have lightsabers, which they all have all these other weapons, and Kylo Ren's the only one with a lightsaber, it's did he just show up and start poking holes in people? I guess that would cause me to flee too if he, was just, mercilessly murdering people and they weren't even able to defend themselves. Just to me, none of it makes sense, really. There's just a bigger picture with this temple. I hope they really go into explaining this in the next movie. And a lot of people assume that Kylo Ren didn't even know how to build his lightsaber. I actually went into this encyclopedia right here and found a description of what they say about the lightsaber specifically. I'm going to talk about it at the end here, but I want to focus first on Kylo himself. They say that what they say about the saber is that it was built off an ancient design. Kylo Ren has been Kylo Ren for about 6 years. We find that out in the Bloodlines series, which I haven't read. I just saw that online. Also, this is kind of a spoiler about a character we want to see in movies, and we know he's out there. So if you don't want to hear, or if you don't want to know what I'm about to say about a character from an old trilogy that they brought up in this book, earmuffs right now. I'm going to cover and talk about it. So basically, Lando's featured in Bloodlines, and he gives a gift, a fancy gun and a fancy ship to a young Ben Solo. So I thought that was cool that they just mentioned him. I don't really know the significance of the gun or the ship or anything like that. Okay, you can take the earmuffs off. So I just wanted to pick that out from Bloodlines because, you know, it was a pretty big deal. So he's been Kylo Ren for 6 years. He was at the temple all of the years prior to that, sent as a child, and was starting to train and starting to do all this stuff that he was told he would be good at, and his heritage made him strong with the Force, you know. I feel like he just didn't excel the way he thought he was going to, and he wanted this like power that he thought was just gonna be there and come naturally, and so because he was being pulled in both directions, dark and light, it didn't make it easier, it made it harder for him to excel in the Force, because when he's at the Jedi Temple and Luke wants him to focus on all these Jedi trainings, yet he's got voices, maybe visions of Vader, or who knows, Snoke planting all these things in his head. We know he manipulated him from a young age. He could have easily been having these little conversations like Palpatine with Anakin about the past and about, you know, just injustices and things that happened that, you know, a lot of people thought the Jedi were too political and too involved with everybody else's lives. Like, the Empire had systems all across the galaxy that had law and order, and everybody was living in peace, and then you get all these Jedi rebels come through and just blow the shit out of everything. A lot of people thought that was like foreign invasions coming in and just messing everything up on them. So, you know, you have all these things going on in a kid's head, and if you're familiar with Star Wars in general, the villains are very apt to manipulating children. That's just what they do. They're easy to manipulate. They steal them from their families at birth. So him failing to succeed in this just makes me think that it made him real angsty and angry. And we see all of this in The Force Awakens, where he's like, just pulls his lightsaber out and destroys pieces of the ship and stuff. So you know he's got all kinds of deep-seated emotional issues. And, you know, I just don't think that this redemption story is something this character needs, man. His life has been so full of turmoil. I want him to just explode with rage. And I honestly see a scene playing out, and it's kind of messed up, but there's a thought that went into my head about how movies always try to parallel with like today's issues. And this is kind of messed up, where like it's a school shooting and Kylo may have not planned this out in his head per se, that he was going to destroy this temple, but something happened. And I talk about what I think exactly happened in my first video that just made him lose his damn mind and destroy everybody. Like, the rage that came out is the only thing that I could think that would kill everyone in the temple. Because the Knights of Ren, you know, who knows, potentially useless. I hope that they're like bounty hunters of some sort, or who I really think they are, has a lot to do with this Aftermath book, so bear with me. So I just see Kylo Ren like coming back, killing all of his classmates. They would have known him since he was a little baby. It's not the same as Anakin going and destroying the temple with the younglings. The younglings actually didn't have any clue what he was doing until he raised the lightsaber. Even him lighting the lightsaber, it's blue, like, so you could still assume, okay, he's gonna protect us and get us the hell out of here. But then, you know, obviously that didn't happen. So it's not like that. These people that were at this temple all knew Kylo from a child. So seeing him come back or do this as a, you know, it's just insane to me to think that just watching people see someone they've known since a child come through this temple and kill everybody. I really hope that this scene is a focus of this movie, because we need to know how Kylo turned to the dark side. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think about that. You know, I really do believe that Kylo failed to excel with the Force, and it made him angsty and hate everybody, and it also probably led to Snoke more easily being able to manipulate him to the dark side. So let me know what you think about Kylo's training, and if you think he excelled, or if you agree with me. Now next I want to get into the Acolytes of the Beyond. These guys are amazing. This is like my favorite part of the entire book series. There's not a lot going on in this book series, as far as I think stuff that's going to connect to new movies that are coming out, but this group of people is big, and they're all across the galaxy. So real quick, like in the book they describe them as like street rats, like Aladdin types, just super evil and shit. They are literally in the streets rioting to break into museums. What they say about them is that each Acolyte of the Beyond has had a vision of a Sith Lord. They don't say who, they don't say if it was like a force back or a dream or anything like this. They just say that they've had visions of Sith Lords. And basically their end goal in this is to freaking literally collect Sith artifacts. I'm hoping holocrons show up somewhere, I've said that before. But so they're going around collecting Sith artifacts and Sith lightsabers. They're finding these lightsabers, and their goal is to destroy them so they can return to their masters in death. They say that in the book, and I was just like, whoa, like, why? What would the purpose of that be? Are the Sith planning some kind of resurgence from the dead? Like, I don't know. They're just trying to return everything to these Sith Lords in death. And I think that it would be mind-blowingly amazing if these Acolytes of the Beyond if the Knights of Ren were hand-picked Acolytes of the Beyond, either by Snoke or by Ren. Somehow they prove to Ren and Snoke that they excel with these dark side visions. Maybe to be knighted, you have to prove to Kylo that your vision was of the Sith Lord Darth Vader. I just think that would be crazy if all of these knights have seen visions of Darth Vader, and Kylo also has seen visions of Darth Vader, and that's what bonds them together in their fight to finish what he started. I just think that they would make that group so much more of a threat. But man, I don't know, guys. I don't know about you, but just the fact that these kids are going around breaking into museums, stealing lightsabers to return them to their masters in death, like that stuff to me is just like mind-blowing. We don't hear about the Sith at all. I want to know what Sith Lords they've seen, whose sabers they've even found. Like, are we talking about prequel era? Are we talking about Darth Maul, Dooku? Are we going back further than that? All these cave paintings and shit they're talking about. Did they find the cross guard design and show Kylo this, and then that's what Kylo used to design his lightsaber? There's just so many questions around this group, and I want them to explain way more. I really think that's a very big possibility that Acolytes of the Beyond and Knights of Ren could be one and the same. I don't see why not. These kids are out there, obviously in favor of the dark side and promoting the dark side, so I think it's very possible. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So another detail from Aftermath is that these Acolytes of the Beyond, there's a part in the book where they find a random merchant. I can't remember the planet that they were on. Someone's got to help me out with that in the comments. I can look it up and comment also. But these Acolytes find a merchant that has a saber that he says is Darth Vader's lightsaber. They do purchase it from him and say they are going to destroy it to return it. That is like the plan. So they do bring up the saber. They do say it's going to be destroyed. Who knows what happens after that? They literally that's all they say, and then it just goes on to another thing. So yeah, so the word knights just leads me to believe that these kids would have had to do something crazy to prove to Kylo that they were able to be knighted. Like, knighting is a title. And I just think it'd be freaking awesome if they could prove to Kylo that they had visions of Vader. And so, shit, you had a vision of my grandfather, boom, knighted. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even think that they'd have to be skilled in fighting, really. Some of these kids could just be visionaries that are helping show the way of Vader. All that Acolytes of the Beyond stuff is canon, guys. To me, like, that's just crazy stuff. It's very Sith heavy. Like, maybe the Sith are gonna come back. Maybe we get a rise of the Sith. Like, you don't know what is gonna happen. The Jedi temple, fluctuated up and then crashed down. You know that the dark and the light are always constantly balancing out. So, man, I love it. I love all of it. But yeah, so like, if they are these kids, they're not Force sensitive, how the hell did they burn this temple to the ground? I just feel like Snoke was there. I feel like Snoke is Force sensitive. I feel like potentially, he just did something way more crazy than we even know about. And now I'm not saying that, I don't want people to think that I'm also coming down on the Knights of Ren. Like, I want them to be a sleeper. I want them to be more important than we know. I want them to have been, like, with Kylo from the beginning, potentially other fallen students. Like, we don't know, really. I just really think that this Acolytes of the Beyond thing, there's something there, and they are, their end goal is to, help return lightsabers to the Sith Lords in death. To complete, like, have all of their being and power with them. Maybe it has something to do with the kyber crystals. That's kind of something I want to get into next. So, the encyclopedia right here, word for word, when they talk about Kylo Ren, says, and his peculiar lightsaber is a modern creation of an ancient style, meaning it was built recently, but it's based off of ancient designs. So it's not something that he would have found or been given. I said he found it, but I think that it was found by design. Like, somebody, an acolyte or someone else, would have had to have found a cross guard, similar to Ezra finding the cross guard in Rebels, to have knowledge of cross guards altogether. Shit. People want Ezra to show up. Maybe he's an acolyte. You don't, like, I don't know. That's just some crazy shit I'm gonna get hate for. But he's the only other person in canon that we've seen see a cross guard. So, if nobody has knowledge of cross guards, how did Kylo manage to build one? Also, what they say is that its cracked kyber crystal can barely contain the energy coursing through it, and a pair of crossblades vent out the excess power balancing the weapon. So, cracked kyber crystal. There's a lot of rumors out there, and I'll say, I don't want to speculate too much on that, but that Luke has a crystal on him that is potentially red. I think that this could be one and the same. I think that somehow Luke has a majority crystal, and that Kylo has a fragment that is unable to hold his rage, and that's why his lightsaber is all kinds of crazy. I also think that, this is opening up the Scourge of Malachor, and who the hell knows, maybe Snoke is a third faction. Maybe he's a Mandalore. Maybe he is, all these other factions people bring up. But, to me, you gotta think about what they're saying recently. Cave paintings, first Jedi temple ever, crossguard lightsabers. Like, the shit's adding up, guys. We're not in modern Star Wars anymore. Like, they are going to expand the whole history. Like, we're going back to the beginning. Like, that whole entire war could be something that they go into, and, the fans would really, really appreciate that. I know I would, personally. And it just makes me wonder if Kylo has knowledge of this battle. Like, did somehow he find a artifact that helped him learn Sith history? Another thing I thought about is that Luke's out there constantly searching for artifacts, trying to learn secrets of the Force. Maybe he found a crossguard lightsaber and brought it back to the temple to show everybody, and Kylo Ren really, like, gravitated toward it and tried to build his own without Luke knowing. Who knows? I feel like he probably did a lot of things without Luke knowing. He probably didn't like Luke from day one because he got forced to go there. I think that the significance with the lightsaber is more so with the crystal, though. And this is all part of the setup, guys. They've been talking about kyber crystals for a while now. Rebels is coming up in their 4th season, and that whole series has been Kanan educating Ezra about everything Jedi. They talk about a lot of kyber crystals. That show is also linked to Rogue One in a battle, and Rogue One is all about kyber crystals. So this is like what I'm saying. This is the setup. Like, they just pushed crystals on us for a good couple of years. The new Vader comics, which I'm going to do my next video series on, so please come back and check that out. The new Vader series is obviously leading up to him getting his lightsaber. The very first couple episodes has Emperor Palpatine talking to him about how they're formed. So I believe that comic is going to canonize the Sith forming of a lightsaber, and my hopes are that episode 8, 9 are going to canonize how Jedis build their lightsabers. Let me know what you guys think. I think it'd be really sweet if we saw Rey build a lightsaber. I think it'd be even more sweet if she knows Kylo Ren has that cross guard, and potentially he could perfect that. That weapon is something that, people haven't seen for 1,000 years. It'd be really dope if Rey had to construct a lightsaber that's not just your standard sword lightsaber, that's like a better version of a defense against a crossblade. Like, I just think maybe, I don't know, we've seen daggers, we've seen whips, we've seen dual blades. There's all kinds of stuff they could do. I just want them to expand on sabers, pretty much, is what I'm saying. Dual blades, like, I don't think we'll ever see one again. I don't know. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about all the crystal talk and this rumor of Luke potentially having part of Vader's. Do you think Kylo has part of Vader's? I got a question coming up at the end of this video that I'm going to leave you guys with to think about. But yeah, I don't want to go too much more into crystals because my next video is about Vader comics, and I'm going to definitely talk about everything Sith with those. Alright, yeah, so that's pretty much all I got for this video, guys. The question I'm going to leave you with is a precursor into my next video. So, we know, based on Vader comics, that Sith Lords have to obtain a crystal from another Jedi. They have to steal that saber, turn that crystal red. So it's a saber that a Jedi had, turned either blue, green, whatever. Then they have to claim that and pour their pain and suffering and will into that crystal until the crystal can actually no longer resist the dark side being forced into it, and it just bursts into a red color. What do you think would happen if Kylo Ren was actually able to get that saber, the blue Anakin lightsaber, and then use his pain, suffering ability into that crystal to turn it red? Man, I just think that would be the most crazy thing ever. You have Anakin, like both halves of Anakin's saber being put into one. Just nuts. Let me know what you guys think. Please check out my first video. It's a lead up into this one, so there's a lot more evidence I talk about in that is going to help you kind of understand where I'm coming from with this video. So please subscribe. Don't be a zombie. This is YouTube. That's what people do. They subscribe, they like, they comment. Let's get into it, guys. I comment back on everything, so I want to talk about this a lot. I'm spending a lot of time commenting on other people's YouTube channels because I want to talk about this stuff. So please hit me up with the comments, and as always, I appreciate the support. I'm out.